Johnny Thojai from Poetry Corner and Elmwood Productions, and you're watching that maniac Bridge the Claws here on the Claws Corner. Check it out or be a loser. Loser?
Welcome to the latest episode of the Claws Corner. On December 7th, 2025, I went to go see the legendary Cro-Mags at a local club in Connecticut. The band to open up for them blew me away. They were extremely talented, with the songs being both inspiring and funny. Their songs include Too Fat to Skate, Take Another Hit, What You Reap is What You Sow, and Please Come Home for Christmas. Yes, they even did a Christmas song. Their latest single, Don't Give Up the Fight, was recently released along with a video, which check it out on YouTube. I loved it. I personally think their Facebook page says it best, though. Amy and Ben have been best friends since 1986. They have self-released 10 albums, along with number 11 coming soon. So without further ado, please welcome Amy and Ben from my new favorite band, Sadplant. Amy, Ben, how the hell are you?
We are well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I saw you. I went to see the Cro-Mags at the club in Connecticut called The Space, and I got there a little bit late, and you just walked on stage, and you were the best. I love.
Oh, thank you.
I liked you even better than the Cro-Mags.
Oh,
My only problem was like, why didn't I never hear these guys before? So I was like, but then luckily I went back to Bandcamp and I listened to probably pretty much every album that you had so far. So all 10 of them. One question though is on Spotify. First one there, you only have like 4 or 5 songs on there. Why aren't the albums on Spotify?
okay. Because Spotify, I don't know. I pulled everything down off Spotify. I just got sick of it. So we put up the new music, but I pulled the catalog down. I mean, it maybe, we get paid nothing from it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have people go to Bandcamp. It's free elsewhere. There's no reason for us at our level to be dealing with Spotify or Apple. Maybe at some time we will, but we really are a DIY band, and Spotify isn't our best home, I think.
Yeah. You definitely don't have to be diplomatic on my show. I completely I interview a lot of bands, and they all say the same thing. They all hate Spotify. They all hate all the streaming services because basically they're putting their heart, blood, and soul into this, and then they get back 2 or 3 pennies for each song. So it's really not worth it for them.
Yeah.
So I understand completely.
I mean, we're clearly not in it for the money.
No.
However, I'm like I said, I'm a dinosaur. It's principle alone. It aggravates me, and we put everything up on Spotify a few years ago.
Yeah.
It took them that long to get it up on Spotify because they didn't want to do it.
Yeah, they just aren't. Bands at our level, they aren't our friends. Yeah. So
well, believe me,
I'm fine.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say, even bands at other levels. I'll give you an example. I interviewed Andrew Hagar, who's Sammy Hagar's son. And so he's not huge, but he's big enough where he goes on tour and everything. And he said he doesn't like Spotify for the reason is that they don't want a full album. They want one single every 3 months to keep people interested. He goes, I'd rather just come out with a full album, take off a year, go on tour, live life, be inspired, come back and write an album about all my experiences instead of like, all right, let me come up with another single. All right, here's another single 2 months later. He goes, it's just, he doesn't like it either. And that's just one example of, I've interviewed many musicians and I've never heard one person say, yes, I love the streaming services.
Yeah.
So
definitely a singles game these days.
Yeah, which unfortunately it's sad because we're just an ADD nation where everybody only has they're like a flea on speed with ADD.
Oh, well put.
Yeah. They have no attention spans. Like if it's longer than 5 minutes, they start to lose interest. You see people tuning out. It's like, really? Just like with movies. Well, it's like if it's longer than an hour and a half, I can see people walking out. It's like, I don't know. If it's good, I can care how long the song is. I care how long the movie is. If I like it, I will be there to the very end.
Yeah, I'm that way too, but I am very ADD though.
Yeah.
It led to a tumultuous childhood, and it's as an adult it's even worse. But yeah, no, I can hang. If something's good, I can hang.
Yeah.
But it's got to be good.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I love about you guys, who you remind me of is Ian MacKaye. Because I'm sure my audience knows who he is. Minor Threat, Fugazi, and he was the ultimate I think he's the originator pretty much of DIY, do it yourself. I mean, he with the albums, putting them together, him and Henry Rollins doing everything. So I love the fact that you, Amy, and who's your drummer's name? Is it Phil?
Phil
Phil the drummer.
Kirkconnell.
So the three of you do everything on your own. Now, where do you record the albums?
At the house. Yeah, everything's 100%. We screen our own merch, press our own merch. Yeah, I mean, we release our own albums. Yeah, we're pretty into it. So yeah, not to say that I'm opposed to, any band having an agent management. I would love that stuff. I mean, sometimes it sucks doing it for yourself, but I think there's no need for a band at our level to be having any of that shit. So we just do it all ourselves.
Yeah, that's I think what maybe the advantages of how the music scene is now. Back in the day, if you didn't have a record deal, you wouldn't be able to do any recording. You would never be able to go on tour. Now you could do it yourself, even though you're not going to be able to make as much money as if you got a deal back then. But it was so much harder to break into it back then. But now anybody who has the initiative can go and say, I'm going to do it myself. I don't need anybody. And that's exactly, you two are living proof of that.
It's true. We've been doing it for a long time, and it's not a lot of money in it, but I mean, we can survive.
Yeah.
So, that in of itself is a win in my eyes.
Exactly.
We're surviving at it. So cool, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx
don't
it,
jinx
but
us.
it's been
Come on.
been going on for a minute that we've been able to keep it going. So
I don't want the Claws Corner to be responsible for the ending of Sadplant.
Right.
So please knock on that wood.
yeah.
Knock, knock, knock.
Sorry, well, I mentioned in the intro that you and Amy met in 1986.
No, we met in 1984, but we've been a couple since 1986.
Wow. Okay, so first we'll go way back in the early days in a little while, but first, what year did Sadplant start?
Under that moniker, 2007. We started playing under Sadplant.
And has it always been you, Amy, and Phil?
Phil was not our original, but Phil came to us the first time in 2010, and then he was gone for a minute, and he recently came back for this album.
Yeah.
So we hadn't played with him for over a decade, and we hooked back up with him. We had played in Murphy's Law since right before COVID. And we left last April, and then I called Phil up prior to that when we really started playing again, late 2023. And we've been playing ever since with him, and it's great to just be reunited with him. We've always stayed friends with him, but we literally hadn't played with him in over a decade. But it was
great. After
a couple of rehearsals, it was just like old hat, and we're very close and very tight with Phil, so it's awesome.
It's good to have the old gang back together.
Yeah, exactly. It really is.
So have you always been a three-piece?
We have toured as a four-piece before, but the last time that we were four-piece was 2011-ish. And then, but really we've always been a three-piece. It's just we messed around with being a four-piece for probably about a year. But again, when you're out, it's another mouth to feed, it's another person to worry about. So we just function much better as a three-piece.
Yeah. So you mentioned it before, this is your only income coming in. It's not like you have day jobs and then play the band at night.
No.
Wow, that is extremely impressive, especially in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, we live like shit, don't we?
Don't get me wrong.
I really like that box you're in right now. You guys are really suffering.
It's a beautiful box.
I wish I lived in a box like that. No, I love the fact, because I mean, if you really want to do it, you can't go on a cruise every 6 months, but hey, you're living. So you sing and play guitar, is that correct? And
Yes.
Amy, you play bass.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of Black Flag with Kara Rosler and Henry Rollins right here.
Yeah,
Power couple over here. I love it. So,
yeah.
well, let's go back to 1984. You met. Were both of you in bands, different bands, or were they in the same band?
Different. Amy wasn't playing at that
No.
time,
No.
but I definitely was. I mean,
You
I
were.
was. When we met, we were like 15 and 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I was already playing in bands, but Amy, it came later.
Yeah.
Later on. But you know, we shared taste in music and things we dug.
Interests,
So you know,
yeah.
we got along really well.
So, what were some of the bands that were your biggest influences back then, growing up?
I mean, mine. I have so many influences.
Yeah.
Growing up, I mean,
I'm across the board.
yeah,
Yeah.
Amy can listen to a lot of
Oh.
things. I turned her on to a lot of stuff, but I came up. I mean, I was born in '68, so I came up listening to Aerosmith and Cheap Trick and Black
Right.
Sabbath
Yeah.
and Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
That I mean, in you know, 6th, 7th grade, I had an older sister who was very into punk rock, and
Yeah.
she started turning me onto the Stranglers and
Mhm.
Ramones, and then from there I heard Suicidal Tendencies' first album. And
So
that just
influential.
changed everything for me. It changed to this day how I write music and how that album was just so awesome, so fast, so heavy, so like the guitar work was so killer. And so yeah, that's still to this day one of my favorite albums, and I think one of Amy's as well.
It is. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
You know, it's funny because I was born in '68 as well. It sounds like you and I had the same childhood growing up, music-wise.
Yeah,
I loved it. I grew up listening to all this. I got a funny story about Suicidal Tendencies. Years ago, one of my first jobs was working at Sears, the department store, and there was this guy that everybody thought was a weirdo, and he thrived on people thinking he was crazy. So one time he's just sitting there in the corner going, "I saw your mommy and your mommy's dead," and everybody's like, "Oh." So I just went up to him. "I saw her lying in a pool of blood." He just jumped up. He did not expect anybody to know the second line to that song.
Yeah.
He thought he was just trying to be a weirdo and freak everybody out. And then I started singing along. All I wanted was a Pepsi.
She wouldn't give it to me.
That album was perfect.
Yeah, it was. It really
Just
was.
funny, but also not really dark and yeah, just it still hits me hard to this day. Just a fantastic album. Absolutely fantastic.
Did you ever have a chance to play or see Ludacris?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I mentioned to you off the air, my brother Jeff was the drummer, and my brother Brian was the second bass player for CFI. So you
CFI,
joined
God.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe, Amy, and I we played in a band together, actually.
Yeah, we did actually.
Joe,
yeah.
I mean, in late '90s, early 2000s, we played with Joe before Joe started his family and before he was married.
Before he was married and everything.
Yeah, but absolutely love CFI.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I brought that up was my brother opened up for Ludacris at the Anthrax in Norwalk. I love that.
Oh my God.
That was probably my all-time. How many times did you guys play there over the years? You must have played there a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean it was the Tune In, the LNG.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah,
Brickenwood.
My band played the Brickenwood all the time.
Yeah.
'Cause I was friends. Well, I mentioned Cro-Mags. Opus is now the drummer. So
Right.
I grew up with Opus. He was like 14 or 15, and before Kai, it was Dave Holloway, and they were in a band called Sapphire together. So my band played with Sapphire, and then they became Violent Industry. So we did the Brickenwood all the time. I love that place.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a great era.
Yeah.
It was a great era.
But I think my favorite show at the Anthrax, and you mentioned him earlier, I want to talk to you about that, was Murphy's Law. Jimmy Gestapo is the best frontman. He guy's hilarious. Just gets up there, has the best time on stage, gets everybody involved. No rock star bullshit. When people jump up on stage, he grabs you, starts singing along with you. I love it.
Yep. Absolutely zero bullshit with that guy. Yeah, what you see is what you get, and he's having a good time, without a doubt.
Yeah. It's funny because back when I used to see them every time they played the Anthrax, there's a couple times I had to sneak in because I'm sure you know Sean and Brian, the owners. So I used to have to say it was sold out. And I said, my friends are inside. I'm just gonna tell them that I can't get in. And I just never came back out. That happened to me a couple times because I said I gotta see Murphy's Law, but everybody thought I was friends with Jimmy because every time I would jump up on stage, he was throwing bear balls at me. I mean, he's doing it with a lot of people, but he would bring me up on stage, start making fun of me, and everybody's like, are you guys friends? I said, no, he just loves messing with me. I used to see him so many times. He didn't know me by name, but he definitely knew who I was. I was at all the shows. I used to see him in the streets in New Rochelle, New York.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a fantastic memory. Yeah, if he's hung out and talked to you, he remembers you.
The Agora Ballroom, I saw him at. It's actually funny.
Agora, that Agora Ballroom, that was our first date. In June of 1986, I asked Amy to go with me to see
The
Ramones.
and the Queers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I missed that. There used to be so many great clubs in Connecticut.
So many.
Yeah.
And now there's hardly anything. I mean, so thank God for the Cellar on Treadwell and the Space. Those two places still have a lot. And it's funny because they're both in the same parking lot.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like a one-stop shop.
Yeah. The same parking lot. But yeah, I agree. Great places.
It's great.
So you mentioned you were touring with Murphy's Law. Then did you go on tour with them for the last couple of years, or it was just?
I mean, it was taking all of our time, really.
It was.
We did not do anything with Sadplant for five years.
Oh, so you were actually playing with Murphy's Law. You weren't. I thought Sadplant was opening up for them.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah, it was Amy Ben and Seth, Sadplant's drummer at the time. We were Jimmy's backing band.
Wow.
And so during that time, we didn't do anything with Sadplant at all. We just focused solely on Murphy's. I mean, but it did take all of our time. We played a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Jimmy likes staying busy, and so do we.
And
so it was awesome.
It was great.
It was absolute incredible experience and great time of our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss it. I miss it. I just don't miss the amount of time it took. It was impossible to kind of do our own thing. And I almost felt I was holding Murphy's Law back because, you always want to do your thing. I think the more time went on, the more we were kind of missing doing our own thing because we're so different from Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Although, the fun time, we're all about having a good time and we share that with Jimmy. Just musically, we're very, very different.
Oh yeah, I've listened to your albums and I know Murphy's Law, and I agree with you. It's
we just missed it. You always miss doing your own thing. So it was time, and Jimmy had an opportunity to play with some awesome guys, and I think it just worked out. I think it worked out us leaving. And now Murphy's Law is busier than ever. So and hopefully we'll be busier than ever soon.
Well,
but not too busy.
You two should go on instead of what was that?
But not too busy.
No, just busy enough to afford the box.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get it.
Well, maybe since you and Jimmy are such great friends, maybe you can go on tour instead of playing with them. You can open up for them.
That's why we know Jimmy. We opened for Murphy's Law
way back when.
Okay.
Many times.
Many times.
Even prior to joining Murphy's Law, the last time we had played with them was in Atlanta. Georgia. So we played with them many times over the years, and kind of had that relationship. And Felipe, if you remember Felipe, who played on and off guitar and bass in Murphy's Law for years. Since he was
a kid,
20-year-old. So just got a call into Felipe, and I knew they were looking for a guitar player, and then so it worked out, and just within a short period of time, Seth and Amy came along too. So it was cool. It was the four of us You know, we got to, you know, tour Europe
Yeah, it was
and
great.
and you
It
know,
was fantastic.
tour the States a lot, and it was just a great 44 plus years.
I just think it's funny, and like, I mean, they did come out with some more albums, but the first two are the most popular. They're the
Yeah.
most iconic, and but he's been skating on that for the longest time, and people still love it. People still come to it all. I haven't seen them live in a while. They just played Cafe 9 not too long ago, but I can't imagine them playing there because the place is so small.
We were still with them when played Cafe 9.
Yeah.
Really? How was
Yeah,
that feel
yeah,
like?
yeah.
Could you even move in there? I can't imagine. Like he must have been climbing the
It was-
rafters.
It was packed.
Yeah,
It was
it was
packed.
crowded.
Yeah, it was very crowded. It was a tight space. Yeah.
I love the place. They have so many. The last one I saw there was HR from Bad Brains, and he put
Yeah,
out.
he just recently
he
came
did.
through, right?
Yep.
Right.
I felt bad because I met him. I was trying to talk to him, and I wanted to see if I could get an interview with him. But you could tell that. I mean, I don't know if you saw the documentary on his life, where they found out
No, I didn't.
after years and years, they were finding out like he was a schizophrenic and he wasn't taking his medications. And now he recently got married, and she is taking care of him, and she's the one to put him on medication. Now he's much better. But for the longest time, he was ruining all these deals they had. I mean, like Rick Ocasek wanted to sign them, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with it." And they're just, and they're like, and his brother was like, "Well, he's the singer. We got to go with what he wants." And
yeah.
so but yeah, it's a great documentary. But
I have to
when
check it
talk to
out.
him-
Check that
yeah.
out. That's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Going back to Murphy's, you were mentioning the albums that they're about to release a new one.
Yeah.
With the new lineup. Yeah. So I've heard a little bit of it, and it sounds fucking
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
So so I just wanted to throw that out there, a little plug to the old band, but we have nothing to do with it. It's all the new lineup. Wrote a brand new album, and again, what I heard of it is it's fucking amazing. Sounds really good.
I did hear like what they have probably like about 10 or 11 albums later, right? Maybe or 4.
With EPs,
Yeah.
7 inches, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like the Monster Mash and something like that. Right?
The covers album. Yeah, there's a bunch of shit out there.
Well, like, the first one and Back with the Bong are my two favorites. I remember like the Wall of Death. It's just like Cavity.
Yeah. Oh God, great song. Yeah.
So, what was I gonna say about that? I want to talk about where are they overseas? Are they as popular overseas as they are in America?
Yeah.
Really?
Europe. There was good responses.
Really good response.
Good packed clubs. Played a lot of the festivals, summer festivals. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, really good response from Murphy's Law in Europe.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, but has Sadplant ever played overseas?
No. We've never left I guess we played Canada. But yeah, we've never left North America.
Well, the reason I ask that is because I hear all these, especially these 80s metal bands that really are not too popular now as they were in the 80s, but they go overseas and people welcome them like gods. They said they said like metal over there is very popular still.
We've talked about for years and years, but talk and actually executing are two different things. So yeah, we've talked about it. We'd like to, hopefully in the next year or two we'll actually do it, and so we can say at least that we did it. But I'd like to.
Well, I'm sure you heard which Henry Rollins won a Grammy for this for spoken word "Get in the Van."
Get in the van, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sure your life is very similar to that book.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the way they toured back then is similar to how we tour. We aren't sleeping on punk squat floors.
Yeah.
But it's traveling in a van and
we always converted something. We converted a big bread truck, an old
Wonder Bread truck. Yeah, we had that for years and years.
I love it.
And everyone had their own bunk, and we usually try and have something that we can sleep and cook
and feel comfortable.
Yeah, which keeps expenses down if you have an RV or a camper or something.
I love. Where'd you end up finding that?
I got it from the Wonder Bread distributor up somewhere in northern Connecticut.
That's great.
And found a turbo diesel, got over 20 miles to a gallon, and then just built bunks and space for the gear. It was awesome. It was 26.5 feet long, so we loved that. and we used that for years and years, like
Yeah.
probably a decade we toured in that. It was
least.
awesome.
Wow.
Great mileage. And
I was gonna say, what are you touring in now?
we have a small camper now.
Mhm.
Our actual last run, we broke down the first day of tour and had to do the run. We were out with leftover crack for a short run,
Yeah, it was
six days.
6, 7 days.
And of course, first day of the run was Providence, and our camper broke down. Yeah, it was like the fuel pump, and so it was basically couldn't get fixed right then. So we had to U-Haul it the entire run and
But it all
hotels.
worked out.
Yeah, it worked out awesome. Those guys were great to us too. So it was a fun run.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to read your book, Get in the Bread Truck. Instead of So that's why you have to keep the band members to a minimum. So 3 members, that's it. So you have enough room to sleep, eat.
It's just,
Well, and the dog, because the dog.
And the dog, we're always touring with
There's
the
always
dog.
a dog. We used to have a pit bull, and now we have a bulldog.
Yeah, now we have Ollie the bulldog.
There's always a dog involved.
Jimmy was always cool with us, and Ollie traveled with us in Murphy's Law, and we always travel with the dog, and it's I don't know, it's better that way. The road can suck at times, even though it's awesome. There are times where just having your dog with you, especially your special needs, high maintenance dog, like we always seem to have.
We do always have high maintenance.
Yeah.
The dog probably lives better than you two.
Yeah. So yes, it's the 3 of us and a dog it's a lot better than 4 of us and a dog.
Yeah, I can imagine it.
Yeah.
When I was in a band in the 80s, I thought the local scene was great. Like, all the bands supported each other. I didn't even come out with a demo. I was playing all these different clubs just because, like, see if I say, oh, we're playing, you want to play with us? Or Disaster, Sonic Plague, Violent Industry, Sons of Sawyer, all these different bands I was friends with. So we'd all just help each other out. Do you find you have the same rapport with the bands now? 40 years later?
Yeah, we've made, no question, lifelong friends. Even people that aren't even in music anymore, we're close friends with them solely because they did play music.
Yeah.
And for sure, it's the scene is definitely, no question, it's different.
Yeah.
But I think people are the same, and your relationships continue. We still meet new friends practically every time we play. And we meet new bands, and that to me is the coolest thing about playing music, is just those relationships that you get, like meeting you at a show. I don't know how the hell we never crossed paths before.
We must have. There must have been, because I'm friends with a lot of people, especially Joe and Opus and Dave.
Joe and Opus. I've known those guys forever. Absolutely forever. And it's just funny how that works out, that we probably have been in the same room hundreds of times and just never talked into the last show that in December when we met you.
Yeah, that was funny. When I met you and we started talking, I couldn't believe all the mutual friends we had. There's no way I'm not best friends with you already.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy that we can both be in the same scene for so long and just meet one another.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, the one thing that's probably different now is that, back in the 80s, everybody's young, they want to jump off the stage, they want to go crazy. Now everybody's like, all right, it's 9 o'clock, I got to go to bed, I got to go to work.
Guilty.
So instead of just, they're just standing there, which is, I mean, I know for me, when I was on stage and I see the crowd going crazy, that would just make me want to go even crazier, and I fed off the enthusiasm of the crowd. But when they're going like this, even though they're enjoying the music and nobody's really just dancing around and getting into it, it's a little tougher to be as enthusiastic. Do you find that?
Yeah, for sure. If people are standing there staring at you, your gut instinct isn't we're killing it right now. You're kind of like we're bombing. But you know what? We do see it a lot, and after the show, when people come up and be like, that was the best show we ever saw, we're always like, wow, we really felt like we were bombing then, and that,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that-
happens
It
frequently,
does
actually.
happen a lot.
Yeah, that people just,
They just
Watch
watch
ya,
and they take it
yeah.
all in.
yeah,
I think it's because, as I mentioned, like we're it's almost 40 years later, and maybe you still have a younger crowd that comes. But for the most part, it's probably the people that grew up with us and are our age now, and most of them are like, oh, but 10 hours at the office. All right, yeah, this is great. So
Yep.
they're not really getting into. But I just like me, I enjoyed it immensely, and I thought you guys are great, and you're one of my new favorite bands, and I really mean that because I love your
Thank
music.
you.
So it's just a different scene right now, I think.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you find that a lot of clubs? I noticed this later on that a lot of clubs don't like bands playing originals. They more like they want people getting drunk, hearing something that they're familiar with, like Freebird, and then they
Yeah.
can sing along with it. Do you find booking clubs? I know your music's probably a little bit different than say these top 40 bands that are trying to play bars. So for you, do you find it's a little bit harder to find clubs that play original music?
I mean, clubs that the last decade, 12 years have been brutal on clubs
Yeah,
that
they have.
play original only music. I mean, Connecticut, we lost
So many. Yeah.
all the clubs.
Yeah.
There's just a handful. Cherry Street Station,
Yeah.
is still doing,
Cellar.
yeah, well,
But,
Cellar. But really, I mean, just
33.
2010, 2011 was a brutal time for
Well,
clubs that only have original music, because like you said, people want to
people
hear
wanna
cover
hear
songs.
covers. They want
They
to
want to
hear,
hear
yeah.
songs they know. And I mean, I dig it, whatever. It's whatever people want. It's just not my thing. We've probably not only because of our musical ability or inability to play other people's music,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I wouldn't really want to play 3 sets of Loverboy and Clapton 3-4 nights a week. It
I
just,
think it would physically kill you.
it
to do
might
something like
physically
that.
kill me.
It would
Yeah.
definitely mentally.
No, I mean,
kill
I'm not bad mouthing Loverboy.
No,
Like,
I was
Awesome.
no, but you wouldn't.
awesome pop
you
band,
wouldn't
but
like it. You've
no, I
been
would-
this way your entire life.
yeah, I
He
never,
has never wanted to play anything but his own
Yeah.
original music.
yeah.
I promise, if you start playing "Working for the Weekend" or take it to the top, I will be up on stage doing a stage dive. I promise you.
Yes, yes. Again, nothing against Loverboy. Great pop band.
No, I understand completely. Even when I was in band back in 88, 89, it was the same thing. I said, let's just play originals. Let's just have fun. And one of the songs I did a great time. Like one of the songs we did was called Mental Hospital, and this girl that was friends with the band, she made me a straitjacket. So I used to come running out on stage in a straitjacket, moshing around. And then we had another one called Death to Dino. I used to come out with a Dino on a noose, and people would tear it apart. It's just I said instead, like you, instead of playing all these cover songs, like unfortunately, I'm more like you two. My tastes are all over the place. I can go from Bad Brains to Barry Manilow and everything in between, just like that. I was listening to, I had my playlist on, and my girlfriend said, "What the hell is this?" It went from ABBA to Ludacris to Metallica to Beethoven, and I said, "I love everything." So it's just, but my band, every band I was in for the most part, they had the blinders on. Like, let's do this, let's do that. It's like, no, there's more to life than Metallica and Megadeth.
Yeah.
Let's play something different. And
Same.
so it's just, luckily we the originals we did. The only thing I'm mad about is I wish we came out with a demo. We broke up before we did, but I don't really
It
have.
was hard back
It
then.
was really
You
hard
needed-
back then to
you
do
needed
do
backing
that.
or
You did.
a member of your band to have money.
Had to have-
Like you had to
yeah,
go into a
something.
studio. It
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah,
It was
well,
hard.
back then I was the only one that had a job, and we were practicing at Trod Nozzle, which cost, I think back then, $150 a month. So I was the only one
Yeah.
paying that, and I was getting pissed off because I said, somebody here needs to get a job. I'm not supporting the band, so I wanted to do a demo, and it was the same thing. Well, you have a job. I'm like, sorry, I'm not paying for everything. So you're right, yeah.
Right.
It was
You-
hard.
You needed that one guy in the band with the job to pay for the
pay for
demo. And so,
everything.
yeah, it sucks. A lot of stuff went undocumented
It's
for that
true.
reason,
It's true.
Yeah, but
which is
it was
great now. Like,
That is
that's
one thing
probably,
that's amazing about now.
yeah, one of the
Yeah.
greatest things that in the difference between back then and now is the ability to record. Anybody can record for cheap now.
Yep. You can do it.
And
Just
relatively well. Free programs loaded onto your laptop with a simple interface, and you can get some decent recordings. Perhaps not professional, but way better than the shit we had with a Fostex 4-track in '89.
Yeah.
Well, you might know the second band that was in. We did it with a 4-track. Or do you know Carl and Eric Kempter, Fatal Image?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my second band. I forgot about that. After when you mentioned 4-track, we did a 4-track, which unfortunately was horrendous. Not the songs, but the quality was horrendous.
The quality.
It's the quality.
Yeah.
Actually, all right, so you might remember this then. Did you see them live back in the 80s?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you remember Big Gumby jumping around?
Yeah.
That was me.
Come on.
That was me.
Oh
my God.
That's great.
Because they had a song called Ritual of the Walking Dead. I said, come on, let's just, I said, I can't take this serious. Let's just have fun. So I changed it to Ritual of the Walking Gumby, and I had this inflatable Gumby, and I could run out on stage with it and mash around with it. That was me.
God.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So yes, we did meet at one time.
Did. See?
Were you at this, actually, were you at the school, I forgot what his name was, Anthony Cortella. They did a benefit for him. Anthony Cortella was a friend of everybody back then. He was hit by lightning. He and his girlfriend were running through a field.
Yes.
And they did 2 benefits. So the first band I was in was R.I.P., which was like either regurgitated intestinal parts, Rich is pregnant, Rich is pissed because everybody thinks he's pregnant. It was just like we had fun with the acronym. But then Fatal Image. So the first year was '88, they had it. And then the second year I played with Fatal Image. So if you were there, I played both those shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
I again, my brain is, a little iffy, particularly going back to the 80s. It used to be super sharp, and I could tell you details at every show I was ever at.
That's true.
But the last decade or so, it's been harder and harder to have vivid recollections of these shows. I'm kind of like, I probably was there. I can't remember, but I remember that incident. I absolutely remember that. So probably we were there.
Yeah. Well, you've done a lot over the last couple decades. So I can imagine why you played all over the place and with so many different bands. It was definitely hard for me to, I was at that show. But you mentioned the clubs. I mean, just some of the clubs we had the Brickenwood, we had the Anthrax, we had Sneakers in Branford, we had Baker's Days. The Night Shift in Naugatuck, then in New York, I mentioned Streets. Did you ever play the Sting? That was a great place in New Britain.
Sure, the Sting, the bowling alley, we lived right down the street from the Sting for a while. We played and we saw a bunch of great shows at the Sting.
Because at that time I was interning. I was in radio for a while. I was interning at WHCN, and so they had a sponsorship with them. So I went to almost every show because I got free tickets so I was at the Sting all the time. And my friend's father owned it, the Newmans, Ronnie Newman. I'm not sure. So I was there all the time. That's another place I probably met you. What band were you in when you played there?
Back in the Sting days, it was probably Box. Box was the punk band we were in.
Okay.
Probably Box. That was what, 93,
91, 92, 93, somewhere around there.
You know what? It was before then, because I remember we saw Ramones there.
Yeah, we did
a bunch of times, but I think the first time we saw them there might have been 1990 even.
Yeah,
it could have been
90 or 91.
I think it was.
Because I was interning at the station in 91. That's 91, 92. So that was the year that I saw everything there.
Did you catch Pantera when they came?
Oh yeah.
That was a crazy one.
That was a good one.
They overpacked that place. And
overpacked it.
Yes, oh my God.
And it was like a 5,000 man pit. It was like the whole room. That was a crazy one.
That's why I've interviewed some of these bands. And like, you got to see Pantera in the club. I said, I tried to see them. I was like, this against the
it was crazy. That was the craziest show I ever went to. By far. They definitely oversold that one. Have
you ever played CBGBs? That was another iconic.
Yeah.
That was Who are some of the? I know Murphy's Law. Who are some of the other bigger bands that you played with that went on tour with?
I don't know.
Have you ever when you played right now with the Cro-Mags and you've done Murphy's Law? Have you ever played with Dead Kennedys or back in the day?
No,
No.
no.
What about Bad Brains?
Even
Love
though
that.
even
would
though they
love
all
that.
came through
Yeah.
Connecticut, we like Black Flag came through,
Yeah.
played Enfield roller
Played
rink.
Enfield.
I never went there. I heard.
Oh,
Something.
it was cool, the Enfield, but
Yeah.
we never were on any of the Enfield roller rink
No.
bills. Never got onto any
No.
bills. But went to the shows there. I don't know. At the LNG
Oh yeah.
is when we started getting on cool
Yeah.
bills,
Yeah.
which damn if I can remember. Like,
Remember.
there was like a biohazard show.
Biohazard show.
Stands out to me.
I think
Power Man 3000, is that it?
so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That stands out in my brain for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like some cool bands, I'm sure we
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
I can't wait to read this book you're gonna write. We did a lot. We did a lot of cool things over the years. And the end.
Yeah. Damned if I can remember it.
He started writing some of that down though. So
I
he couldn't remember.
did start writing down
later,
in all the bands that we played with, so I could remember, just because
he wasn't remembering.
My mind is terrible, and it's like, oh, I can't remember if I played that bill or was just at the show.
That's funny.
That's my biggest thing now, because it's like, oh yeah, we played with Aerosmith 7 times. It's like, no, I just went to see them 7 times. I was never on stage with them,
Did they open up for us? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I'm so cautious about, because I don't ever want to get caught in that lie where I'm like, yeah, we played with Black Flag 8 times. It's like, no, you didn't. You didn't play with them 1 time, a liar. Yeah.
I think, did you actually play with Ludacris, or do you remember, or did you just see them?
I feel like we played.
I feel like played, but again, it could be just saw them, but
No,
I feel like
yes.
I feel like yes, absolutely. But
the funniest story, I have a funny story about Tommy Christ, where as I mentioned, CFI opened up for them, and a girl that we knew was part of the band scene at the time, she came around, she goes, Rich, save me. That's what she goes, Tommy Christ is after me. And he's walking out of the Anthrax back room, his pants around his ankles. You're not going to leave me like this, are you? And she's trying to run from him. I was laughing so hard.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That was the funniest. At first I thought she was kidding. When he came out of the door, it's like, okay, well, you're
It's
not
like,
lying.
I guess.
I know.
Oh, different era.
Yeah, it really was.
What did you like better? Did you like Ludacris or Power Trip better? Or not Power Trip, what's the name of the band? Scatterbrain.
Yeah, Scatterbrain. Ludacris.
Yeah. And what Suicidal changed their name to? I know they became like more of a metal band afterwards. Didn't they change their name, or was it just?
I don't know.
I know Join the Army was the second album, which was more metal than.
Very much. They certainly changed. I got that the day that it came out.
Yeah.
And my first listen, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But then it ended up, I loved
You
it.
ended up loving it.
I think it's similar to when DRI changed with Crossover. I think they helped out a lot with that. Then other bands like, oh wow, this is cool. That was around that time when metal was becoming more popular, and all these punk bands were like, I want to become, I want to get a wider audience. I think a lot of punk bands were doing that.
Very much so. Very much. But DRI, we definitely played with DRI. I can safely say DRI is a band I can safely say we've definitely played with before. Yes. Love DRI.
Oh yeah. Those guys are great. I saw them at the Anthrax. I think that's where I saw them.
Yep.
Sometimes I do the same thing as you. Like, where did I see them live, or was it just did I watch it on YouTube? I can't remember now. But
yeah, right. Or did I see that on YouTube 6 months ago? And in my brain, I saw it in '87. Yeah, guilty of that too.
The one thing I do love, even though it's really not the same, and I'll give you the big example of what I'm saying about this, is that these bands that we grew up with in the 80s, these punk bands, are coming back together and reforming. But one example where I really don't think they should is Dead Kennedys without Jello. That's one band where if Jello's not in the band, it's not Dead Kennedys.
Yeah, well, that I agree. They were great musicians.
Yeah.
But Jello's the band to me. It's just he's the identifying factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's weird. I think a lot of bands could get away with a different singer, but Dead Kennedys is not one for me.
It's like reforming the Frank Zappa band without Frank Zappa.
Yes, I agree 100% on Dead Kennedys.
Yeah. But then you have other bit like I saw. I'm not sure if they're together anymore, but Bad Brains with their second singer, which I don't know if I know he's not in the band anymore. He has a new band, and he actually played with Todd Youth, the second singer. Israel Joseph is his name.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
Yep. And we were talking about him. He said, what was it? Chuck Todd? Who's the one that was murdered? Was it
Chuck was murdered? Yeah.
He was such a. I met him once. He was at the Anthrax. I think I said hi to him when it was more like mostly speaking with Jimmy. But he was such a great bass player, and I didn't even know what happened. I found about a couple of years after it happened. Like, what? He got shot?
Yeah, he stabbed.
Stabbed. See, that's what it was.
Stabbed. Just stupid criminal. Just a pointless murder. It was 100% pointless murder, and I know the dude comes up for parole every few years, but I'm pretty sure he came up a couple years ago. I remember, but I don't think he got paroled. I think he's still locked up. I hope so, anyways.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope he never gets out. One band, I met him at a convention. I love going to these movie conventions, and that's where I met Vinny Appice too. He's going to be on the show next week. I recorded it. That's week. He's a great guy. But I met Lee Ving from Fair. Have you ever had a chance to?
Awesome.
I'm trying to get him on the show. He said he would be, but he's just one of those things where he gives me the email. It's a legitimate email, but he never answers me. So I would love to have him on the show.
That would be awesome.
That would be great.
He's a character.
Because we were talking about, I had John Joseph on the show before, and we were talking about the Saturday Night Live. I'm sure you heard about that on Halloween night. John Belushi, Love Fair, brought him on there. They destroyed the place, and they got banned. And I think they never show that again. It's on YouTube, a small clip.
Oh yeah, for sure, it's on YouTube. Yeah. Well, I've seen it a zillion times, but man, legendary.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you never had a chance to play with them, or do you
no, Fear, no, never, not once. Yeah, would love to though, especially now that they're playing again, like frequently. Yeah, I would love to.
Well, what's funny about him is he's such a great actor too. I mean, I was not too long ago. I have another show called Real Talk, REEL, where it's all about movies, and I want to do one on the Walter Hill movies. And he was one of the antagonists in Streets of Fire. He was great. He was in the movie Clue. He was and I didn't realize he was in Fame. I saw a clip when I was doing my research again for the show. It's like, I remember him being in Fame, the TV show, not the movie.
No kidding.
The guy's great.
Wow, cool.
So he definitely made the crossover from punk to actor.
Yeah, that's great.
That's cool.
I could definitely picture Gestapo being a great actor too. I could picture him doing a lot.
No question.
He's definitely a character.
Yeah. He did. He was the in Grand Theft Auto 4. He was the DJ for the hardcore station. He was awesome.
Okay, I didn't even know about that, but
if you're playing the game, you tune on to the hardcore station, and Jimmy's the DJ. And it's by far the best station on the radio in the game, by far. And Jimmy has the story of him doing the recording was awesome. He said he just went in and recorded in like a day or two, and he just talked shit.
Well, he's so good at that.
Right.
Well, let's get back to your band, because you guys are great. We talked about some of the clubs we played. Have you ever played L'Amour's? That was another club in Brooklyn I used to love going to.
L'Amour's. I don't believe we ever played there, but we were there. We definitely have been there, but I don't think we ever played it.
Okay, I was just curious. Like, so I'm going back. Like, I love this interview. It's like going down memory lane, things I haven't talked about in years. And I remember seeing. I think I saw a Voivod there. That was.
Oh my God! Yeah, great band.
which is funny. I think that's what Jason Newsted from Metallica joined for a little while.
Yep.
He might still be in there. I'm not sure if he is or not, but
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I personally think my personal opinion is that he made the right decision because I like old Metallica, but after Injustice for All, and even after Master of Puppets, really, that's when I said, all right, I think I'm done with Metallica for me.
For me, it was Justice. Like that was I really like Justice, but I hear you. Yeah, it's you know, even Black Album, fine, but you know, after Black Album, it's I haven't been able to get into a single thing.
No, the Black Album, I like one or two songs, but that's the one that everybody loves, and I just said, for me, what turned me off, and even though I know after seeing that pathetic documentary,
I couldn't get through it.
And because I was telling people this, I said, I don't know if you like them, but one of my favorite bands is Rush.
Oh my God, that was my first concert.
Oh wow, okay, so the reason I bring that up, have you ever seen their documentaries? They are the classiest people, and they're the best of friends in school. And I said every band, and Metallica especially, is what I always say, should be tied down and forced to watch that documentary. That's what a real band acts like. Like Jason Newsted said, we've been together 20 fucking years. We need a psychiatrist to talk to each other. It was just pathetic. And when I was interning at WHCN, since I got free tickets, they weren't paying me, so I took everything. They used to call me the HCN leech. I'm like, I can call me whatever you want. I'm getting everything I can get. But there was a show that was inside the stage for Metallica, and James Hetfield was looking at my friend and I, and he was mad that we weren't moshing. He went and spit all over him. I said, "You're just a piece of shit."
Oh, they're rock stars, no question.
Yeah, we were supposed to meet them, and then they're like the last minute. Oh no, we don't have time to meet anybody. So it's just like it was around that time when I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty much done with them."
I'm good. Yeah. The Black Album was a travesty. I got that the day it came out. We were living in New Britain at the time, and got it at Strawberries, and right by Strawberries was a grocery store. So Amy just had to run in there and grab shit for dinner, and she came out. I just parked right in front. She came out like 5 minutes later. I had already fast forwarded through the whole album, and I just told her this album is shit.
And he wouldn't play together.
No, it was like this album is shit. It was the most disappointing thing ever.
Yeah. No.
I can appreciate the production now, but it is definitely a trash album.
It was too commercial for me, and I know
it was.
I'm not one of these people like because here's what I hate when people do, like when there's a band that's like maybe underground and people love them, then all of a sudden as soon as they get a little more popularity, they sold out. It's like a band's main goal is to get accessible to as many people as possible. So I'm not one of those people, but I think Metallica sort of jumped the boat, or jumped the shark, I should say, on that album, because they just everything they said they were against, they did on that album.
They did. It was trash, But don't get me wrong, I fully support bands for selling out and getting paid. I would do it in a split second if the opportunity came to you. I would never hate on somebody. But they had already achieved fame on their terms. There was no need to release the Black Album and then release whatever garbage they kept releasing after that. They could have kept playing what they played and doing it their way, and they chose to be Nickelback or whatever. Nothing against Nickelback, but
I love it.
It was very commercial, and
a little too. You know what's funny? I interviewed Mark Gallagher from Raven not too long ago, and Metallica opened up for Raven back in '83, and I said, he basically said the same thing without saying it like that. But he said, like, I said, it seems like you taught them a little too well. And he goes, I give them all the respect. He was like being nice about it. They did, when they blew everybody out the water, they opened the doors for so many people like us. But and then he sort of like trailed off. So I think he was on the same page as we were.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for a schmuck like me to motherfuck Metallica for selling out, but I just always felt there was no need for it. They could have kept doing what was true to them, and there was no fucking way the Black Album was true to them. They knew what they were doing.
When they started playing Bob Seger, which I have nothing against Bob Seger, but
fuck no,
they were basically trying to get as big of an audience as possible. It was like I love the EP that they did when they did I killed your mommy today, or was it
598 EP, sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love when they started doing those were the covers that I liked when they did. But then when they started doing the other stuff, I'm like, yeah,
Not the greatest.
no.
Yeah.
That's why. Did you? All right. So I always get into arguments with people about this, or not really arguments, debates. Metallica versus Megadeth. Who do you like better?
Metallica.
Really? So I
100%.
I think Megadeth wrote better songs for me. Like, I mean, not the first 4 albums. First 4 albums are great, but like I think Megadeth stayed more true to themselves. And I
No
love
question.
No question.
No question. I just could never get past Dave's voice. It just did not do it for him. Yeah, there's a bunch of bands that just I get hung up on the voice. And I always felt like Megadeth would have been like a great band with a great singer, or even a different singer. I just can't take Dave's voice.
Yeah. No,
Never could.
I don't mind the voice. I don't like, and I'm not one of these people like, well, I don't like the person behind music, so I'm not going to listen to him. I still like Megadeth, but I interviewed David Elves, and it was pathetic, like what happened to him in that band. And Dave Mustaine's a piece of shit. Like,
oh, he's a terrible human.
Yeah. So like, I mean, now all of a sudden, like, supposedly he found God, and like whatever happened, whatever David Ellefson did was between him and his wife. What he did was what all these bands like Motley Crue and other bands like that used to brag about, and that's what made them so popular. And all of a sudden he gets kicked out of a band that was where Dave Mustaine's doing drugs, doing all these different things, and all of a sudden like he's now not good enough to be in the band. I just lost so much respect for him. Yeah.
Oh, he got a terrible raw deal.
Yeah. So I haven't really listened to maybe the last 3 or 4 albums, but I mean, obviously Peace Sells, Who's Buying, which was like their second album. That was the first one I bought, and that to this day I could still listen to that one, but just again, his voice is like not my cup of tea. All right, well, speaking of voices, this is another one that gets a lot of flack, and I love it. What do you think of King Diamond? Okay, you and I are not going to be on the same page in this one, but.
King Diamond is one of those debatable bands. Yep. People either love him or hate him. I don't hate him. I think he's cool. Like, I think he's cool, but I just could never throw on that cassette and listen to it all the way through. Maybe a song here and there, but I could never get through an entire album.
You know what? Before you even... I wasn't even done with the sentence or the question, and Amy was already laughing, so I knew what the answer was going to be.
I knew the answer.
I think I'm like one of the few out of like all my friends that love him, and I love his music, and but just
he's like Alice Cooper. He's like, there's more to it than the music.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a spectacle, and it's cool.
Yeah,
I would see him live, no question. I just. I couldn't listen to it. I just can't. I can't. I've tried.
You're the only one who would go to a concert with headphones on playing something else.
Yes. I mean, the visuals of that are awesome, but I can't do it.
What I like about him, with obviously Merciful Fate's more in the satanic realm, but with King Diamond, I like the horror element, and his albums have great stories. I would love to see these movies. Like Abigail, I would love to have seen them. I would love to have seen into a movie. I mean, the stories I love.
Yeah, he's cool, and he's like I would equate him with an Alice Cooper, like no question, like, but yeah, I just can't. I can't do it.
All right, and moving on. Speaking of, let's go back to your music. You've been together for a long, long time. How do you keep it fresh?
We have never stuck to a formula, and insisted we just stick with the genre.
No.
So I mean, we definitely have evolved, and just whatever we're into doing at the time is what.
That's just it. Whatever we're into doing at the time, because
is what we're playing.
Yeah.
And the moment a song gets old for us. That's it. We just don't play it anymore. And
Hence
we're
part of the reason he takes everything down off of Spotify.
oh
Because he's over it.
yeah, I'm over it. That's another thing. I'm
He's
over it.
over it.
After we played it for a little while and it's run its course, I'm over it and I just want to do
Like, I don't want to hear that
something new,
anymore. I don't, yeah.
something new. And really, I guess we just we don't play anything old ever. And it keeps us fresh. It keeps it fresh for us. We like practicing. I mean, we do.
Practice
like all three of us love to practice, and we probably practice now like 3 times a week. We would play every day if Phil was like closer to us, but he did live 3 hours away until a couple of months ago, and he's moved an hour away. So but
he's closer.
Yeah, he's closer than he lived up near Boston.
Wow.
For a while. So the last month and a half, it's been pretty cool. We've been seeing him like 3 times a week. So or more, even every other day. So we've been playing a lot, and no, it doesn't get boring at all.
But you brought up a great point, because when I interview these bands, I'll give you an example. One band, somebody lives in New Jersey, another one lived in California, another one lived in Connecticut. So what they would do is they would record their part, send it to them. They would record their part, and I said, I mean, don't you miss the days where you're all in one room and you collaborate as a band and you're inspired by each other and you start playing a riff and the drummer comes in and you try this and the bass player and then the singer just starts riffing on it? And I said, don't you miss that kind of collaboration? And most of the bands agree with that, but they said, unfortunately, because of the way we live, it's more economical to record that way and to they don't really have too many practices until they go on tour right before tour. So I think for me, I always loved, it was more of just like, for me, hanging out, having fun, but we got so much more done together as a band, as a unit.
Totally. I mean, I've done it that way. But I vastly prefer we're all in the same room together and laughing and bouncing off. And it's always, every time we play, it's always bouncing something new off people, and we'll mess around with it and have the sound check riffs that all of a sudden you're being able to play over and over and be playing every couple of days, and they start morphing into songs. I don't think you'd get it if we were doing the long distance, trying to rehearse that way or write that way. I don't know. I just like being in the same room as everyone else.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you write what you're doing at the time. Your latest single is called "Don't Give Up the Fight." So what is that about?
Don't give up the fight is having dreams as an adult, as a in my case, a guy in his mid-50s, and just I've changed very little from my aspirations from when I was 15, 16 to now. It's like I still want the same stupid shit. And I think it's what keeps me going, and it's just a song about that, just encouraging people not to give up their dreams and keep going for it, whatever it be, whatever it is. So that's what that song is all about. Just not giving up and not shutting down on your dreams. Just keep trying to, in some way, shape, or form, try to keep chasing them, because it's as stupid as they may be, it's honorable, I guess.
No, that's a great point, because I would talk about this a lot, because over the years I've been in bands, I was in radio, I did stand-up comedy, I did motivational speaking, I wrote a book, now I'm doing a radio show, and now I also do voice acting, which I did last night. But I have a job that pays the bills. But I think so many people are afraid to try something because they're so worried what other people are going to think. Like, oh, I'm too old for that. It's like, why are you too old for that? Who cares? Well, people are going to, who fuck what people have to say about it. As long as you're having fun, you're not neglecting your responsibilities, do what you want to do. People say, why do you always want to do so many things? I said, why not? I have the time, and I have so many interests and so many things I want to try. And I'm not making a living from it like you are, but I definitely couldn't just wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed, wake up, go and basically Groundhog Day. I couldn't live life like that. I needed to do something new, something different. And that's why with me, sort of like what you're doing now, like you said, like with writing music, it's like, all right, well, I've done the bands for a little while. Since I'm not making money from the bands, let me talk about it in radio. Then radio, it wasn't working out. Let me do this. And so it's all come back full circle. I'm back in radio again. And I love it.
I dig that story because that's what I think is just, I think people get embarrassed over doing shit that they think is kid stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not.
And,
it's life.
And
Just
I mean, I know we're both still skateboarders in our mid-50s, and I understand that embarrassment because anytime I'm injured and I gotta go to the emergency room or whatever, I lie. This is a true story. I lie every time I'm in the emergency room. And I say, like, oh, I was painting and I fell off a ladder.
He comes up with this
I slipped on ice because of that. Because
he's embarrassed.
Because I am embarrassed, you know, and it's like,
don't be.
And I feel a lot of people do avoid doing shit like playing in bands when they've hit 35 or whatever. They feel it's immature and they stop doing it. But
if you enjoy it, keep doing it.
Exactly. I always say that. I you know what? Next time you get hurt, tell them that was from skateboarding. Who cares?
Exactly. That's what I tell them.
I know everybody tells me that, but I always and you know what? The last time I separated my shoulder and I ended up later that evening going in to the emergency room and my nurse was a guy we went to high school with, and I lied to him. I lied to him, and he knows I'm a skateboarder. He knows what it was. And I still lied to him. Like, oh, how'd you do this? Oh, I was painting.
You should say something like really off the wall, like, yeah, I was knitting, and I don't know what happened. I just get my arm through my pocket.
I was knitting, and it popped out. Yeah. Oh God,
that is hilarious. That's why it's funny. It's like, well, I have cerebral palsy, but it's only affected the right hand and the right leg, but I have so much fun with the hand. I'll give you an example. I used to be a assistant. I was a manager at CVS for a while, but when I first started, I was an assistant manager. So I started at this new branch in Southbury, the CVS there, and the manager was introducing me to, they have something called Minute Clinic where they have a nurse there. And I said, I said, oh my God, thank God you're here. I said, I woke up with this. Do you know what could be? And she's looking at me going, and finally my manager says, you're an asshole. I'm going to like you. Then I remember like I was maybe 17 years old and they're like, what happened? I was in a foxhole in Vietnam. I said, how old do you think I am? People are just so gullible. They'll believe anything.
Yes. Oh, that's terrible.
So I'm just the opposite of you. I love messing with people and just telling people.
Oh, geez. No, I appreciate that. No, I do. I mess with tons of people, but normally they're in my band and they hate me for it. Yes. Yes. Not a day goes by that I don't mess with band members.
Yeah.
Well, I did notice in the video there is a lot of skateboarding going on. Where was that filmed? Where was that filmed?
That was filmed at my buddy's spot in Waterbury. It's a private spot called the Warehouse, and Jared Whipple owns it, and it's just an incredible spot that he's been working on for over a decade. It's I don't know how many square feet it is, but it's just an absolute enormous brick warehouse filled with skate ramps and art. The guy's got a really cool story. 5-6 years ago he found a bunch of art in a dumpster and it kind of got national media. He was on Jane Pauley, and now there's a documentary about to come out about the story about finding the art in a dumpster, and it was from a New York artist that was kind of well known at the time in the 80s, but he never really achieved really superstardom in the art world for fame, and Jared, this skateboarder that knows nothing about art, got this guy got a museum show, got him into galleries, and the guy's getting some attention now as being a really incredible artist, just from my idiot skateboarder friend Jared. He's got a cool story, and hopefully you'll hear more about him coming up. I this doc is done now, and I don't know where it's gonna end up landing, Amazon or Netflix, but hopefully you see it. And again, his name is Jared Whipple, and the warehouse in Waterbury is where we filmed it at, and he's just a great friend of ours.
Maybe I'll have to have him on the show. I'd love to talk to him about it.
Oh my God, I would love to hook you guys up.
Please.
I think he would be an awesome guy. He's a very clever dude that is all about DIY, and
I love it.
He's just again, he'd be a really cool, interesting guy. I'd love to put you guys in touch.
We will talk after the show's over, because I'm really interested in having Runner. It's funny. It reminds me of a documentary. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like who the beep is this? It was about Jackson Pollock. This woman.
I saw that.
Yeah, and for people who didn't see it, she bought something at a tag sale, and throughout the whole documentary, trying to figure out if it was a Jackson Pollock or not. And people who don't know who Jackson Pollock is, he basically takes paint, throws it against and so it's just a lot of lines, and people are, and I loved how snooty some of these artists were. Like, that is definitely not a Pollock.
Oh yeah, the guy who had his eyes covered.
I know. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, shut up is right. Yeah.
It's like you don't. And if somebody says they don't like it, just because you don't understand art, my friend.
Yeah.
I understand quality, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Jared ran into that big time. But it's crazy breaking into that world, particularly being an outsider, is next to impossible. And Jared just being the guy that he is, made the craziest contacts. It's the most unbelievable fucking story ever.
Oh, I love it.
And, I can't wait till the doc comes out and people see this shit, because it's off the wall. And just knowing the guy, it's like never shocked me from day one. I'm like, it doesn't surprise me. It's just he's the guy to get a crazy thing accomplished like he did. And like you're saying, the snooty art world, it's a real thing.
Well, what's funny was that woman who I know you saw it, so you know what I'm talking about. The woman that found it first, she's like, I'll take 20 hours. By the end of the documentary, she turned down $1.5 million like that. So by the time it was over, she was like, I know this is a real Pollock, and I'm not going to accept anything less than 10 million or whatever it was. I was laughing. It's like, who the hell are you now? She did a complete 180 on that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Too bad. I would have taken the $1.5 million.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. I would have took the $25. I would be like, all right.
Yeah. I would have taken the first offer, $25.
That's funny. So when is that documentary coming out? You don't know yet?
I don't know. It's being turned into the film festivals now. I think Tribeca is the first one, and then I don't know about that end of it. But I know it takes a while to get into distribution. So, but I do know it's done, and I've seen it. It's fucking amazing.
All right, cannot wait to see it. I can't wait to have it on the show. Getting back to you guys, though, what is your songwriting process? We know about what your inspiration is, and you write what you're doing at the moment, but how do you come up with the melody? How do you come up with the lyrics and put it all together?
Usually it starts off as like a riff, something we'll do in sound check over and over. Just if we're playing every day, if not, if we're home, it'll just be just some stupid riff that just play, and then somebody will be like, "That's cool, play it again," and it'll start that way. And sometimes the song will be done, we'll have it done, but don't have like a vocal melody or anything, so it'll sit around until just something clicks, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got a vocal line for that. And that's usually the last thing to come, the vocal line. And then once you got the vocal line, I don't know, it usually gives me some sense of of what the song sounds like it should be about, and then write a song around whatever that
it is.
idea might be. And yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily a common practice, but that's ours, and it's always been. That's always been our just built around the riff, and then the last thing is the words. Like I know people
Some people it's
write
words
poetry
first. Yeah.
and then write a song around that.
Yeah.
Never. It's always the last thing is the words. Always.
So you come up with the riff, and then Amy and Phil will come in and start playing with you and put it all together.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, that's and really we're usually juggling. Right now we're probably juggling like 4 or 5 different arrangements. It's still, I mean, they're still absolute shit. There's nothing going on with them, but we got a couple
Some
that
really cool shit.
that are like done now, and I can't wait to record those. And we haven't even released number 11 yet. I'm already looking forward to
on the next.
the shit on 12. I'm like, man, we got some good stuff. Like, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you've never had a time where you just can't come up with something, where you just had a drought where like, I can't think of anything to write right now, and you took a little break from writing.
No, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
It's
not
good.
that we're pumping out pure gold, but I mean, we're pretty consistent at being able to pump shit out.
Well, I like what you're pumping out. So
Oh, thank you.
I'm telling you, as I mentioned, I went through all your albums, and I couldn't think of. I was trying to figure out like which one I like better, and each one's just as good as the last one.
Oh, geez, thank you.
Oh, and I'm serious. They're great. And like I said, it's funny, inspiring. It's just.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I love a good breakdown mosh pit. Dun, dun. You have a lot of those.
Yeah, I do like the breakdowns. Yeah, I still am a sucker for that 90s hardcore like breakdown. I still love that whole concept. So yeah, I mean that has a big element in our songs, the 90s style hardcore breakdowns, and whatever. But we aren't married to any one thing. That's just an element, and I'm glad you picked up on it.
Yeah.
Speaking of 90s hardcore, I have a hilarious story which you're gonna really appreciate. Years ago in the 90s, I saw Murphy's Law and Sick of It All. And
nice.
the band Sick of It All had this big brawl going on in the middle of Murphy's Law. So Jimmy Gustavo goes, "Fuck you guys, go outside. If you want to fight, we're just here to have fun." And they went into that song.
Yeah, we did fun.
So I was at a Warriors reunion in Coney Island. The movie's The Warriors, and they had Master. Sick of It All played. John Joseph hosted it, and I was talking to Sick of It All. I said, "The last time I saw you guys was at Streets." And oh my God, you were at that show? That show's fucking legendary. And he brought over, tell the drummer the story. Tell the drummer the story. So I'm telling him, hey, last time I saw you, you were at that show. Oh my God. So that show is like one of their all-time favorites. He goes, we all got fucking arrested that night. Everybody was going crazy. And they were going on and on about that show. I said, I just saw Jimmy Gustavo get pissed off and kick everybody out. I wasn't sure what was going on.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Amazing. And that sounds like Jimmy 100%.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fuck the fighting. This is about having fun.
Fun in the sun.
So good.
Yes.
So who are some of your favorite, speaking of 90s hardcore, who are some of your favorite 90s hardcore bands?
I got to tip the cap to Hatebreed.
Yeah.
I know people think that they're cheesy. I don't know why, but they were
them.
when they came out of the gate, they were fucking amazing. We caught a lot of the early stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they came up 20 minutes from where we grew up.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to catch them all the time. And watching their progression, they were just fucking amazing. And that, it's probably because we're Connecticut people and just saw them coming up.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the sound. Like that was the sound of the era to me. Like that was the 90s, and I still love Hatebreed to this day.
Oh yeah, no, they're great. I was like, what's funny about that was when I was a kid growing up, my friend's cousin used to always come over his house, and he's always talk about his band Asphyxia, and they recorded at Ren Studios, and that kid's name is Sean Martin.
Sean
So,
Martin.
so I was years later. I was talking to somebody. And she goes, "Yeah, seems like the only Connecticut kid that made it is Sean." I said, "What do you mean?" She showed me. I said, "Holy shit!" And I didn't. That's when they came out with not Supremacy. What was the one that had a "Now is the time"?
Is Perseverance.
Yeah, Perseverance. I saw him on that one. It's like, and I went back and listened. Because I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't see the early days. Even though now I know. You might, if you know the early days. Do you know Larry Dwyer?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm friends with from Connecticut Cult Classics, and then I talking to him, I realized that he was in the early incarnation of Hatebreed. But I didn't know them back then. But I knew I was really good friends with Sean. And then I was talking to Sean. He basically said he quit the band because his life was like getting the van like 10 rounds. He couldn't take anymore.
Yeah.
And I guess he got married and bought a house. But now he's in some other band, I guess. I'm not sure what it is. But
You know what? It's somewhere in my brain, but I could not spit it out for the life of me.
Yeah.
He's definitely in another band.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Every once in a while I'll run into him. I don't see him on a regular basis. I think he and Pete Morrissey own a tattoo parlor together or something like that.
Yeah, right. And that tattoo parlor, their old location where they were for years and years, is right next to the warehouse. My buddy Jared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've since moved in the last 3 or 4 years. Brass City Tattoo moved, but Jared and Brass City were direct neighbors.
Yeah.
Right next door to one another.
I know exactly what it is, and I was so mad because when you invited me to that taping of the video, I wanted to go so bad, but I had plans, and I was trying my hardest to change plans, and I couldn't. So if that ever happens again, and you have the chance to invite me, I will be there.
Absolutely, next time I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, please, because I saw the video. I said, "Oh man, I would have been all over that
for sure."
Moshing around, having a great time.
Oh, you like the place?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I could tell just from watching the video. I could definitely tell that would be it. So did you grow up? You probably know a lot of the same local bands. Like we mentioned CFI. Did you remember Skeletal Ambitions? Were you friends with them? Speaking.
Yeah. We weren't friends, but yeah, I absolutely remember them.
Yeah, because I was friends with Dan O'Terry and Joe Nettleton, who was
Joe. Yeah, I haven't seen Joe in the last probably since COVID.
Yeah.
He was a DJ. Before COVID, he was DJing in a restaurant down the street playing punk music. I said, "This is great. I love it."
Yeah. But I mean, prior to COVID, I would see him quite a few times a year. I'd see him out.
He replaced my brother in CFI because Jeff.
You're kidding me?
Oh, really?
My brother quit, and then he joined for a while, and even said, "He goes, man, your brother's too good of a drummer. I can't keep up with it." And I was laughing. And I used to party with Dan all the time. He was a guitar player for Skeletal.
Yep.
And then Frank just died, surprisingly. I'm not sure from what, but Frank Linden died.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. The reason I brought them up because I think that was like I loved that. He sort of had like a Dead Kennedys type of vibe to me.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And there wasn't too many bands, at least in this area, like that back then. It was more of the metal scene, and they were like one of the few punk bands.
Yeah, way more. Yeah, that's great band though.
Yeah,
definitely. So, but I know a lot of people put down Hatebreed, but I actually think that they have such a great message, and the beats are great, and like as mentioned, I love the breakdowns and everything. It's like you got the chorus going over, repeating it, so everybody's singing along with it, and then
I know everyone's always kind of motherfucked that band, particularly recently, but I don't get the hate. I think they're fucking awesome. Like, they are what they are, and they don't claim to be anything but what they are. I dig them. I think they're, still killing it.
I think I know the reason, and this happens every time. People hate when somebody's on top. They always have. Whenever probably everybody would have loved them if they were still struggling and everything. Now they're playing the Palace and playing all these festivals. Like, oh fuck, Hatebreed.
If they were playing Cap 80 rooms, people would still be like, "Oh, they stayed true." It's like,
exactly. Yeah,
that's
true.
So I think that's the main reason. It just, unfortunately,
you're right.
You've been doing a lot of music, but almost everything I've done, it's always filled with jealousy. The biggest things I've done that was filled with nonstop backstabbing and jealousy were stand-up comedy and radio. The two worst things. Like everybody's like, "Well, how did they get the spot? I'm funnier than that person." I said, "He didn't get the last spot. Why don't you just do your best and try to get your own show?" And there was so much competition. Well, I played all over the place because I was willing to drive 4 hours for a 10-minute set. oh, how do you get all these shows? Like, if you do the same thing, can I ride with you? Like, no. It's like,
No.
you get your own shows, but it's just, there was a lot of jealousy with me because, like, well, I want to do that. Well, then go and do it. Don't worry about anybody else. And I've noticed that as soon as you start doing your own thing, then people get mad because they either don't want to put the work and do it themselves, and or they want to be where you are.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I would imagine, yeah, comedy, radio, TV. I'm like, yeah, I think it would be so competitive. It would bum me out being in it.
Yeah. That's why I asked about the music scene, because I know, as I mentioned back then, it was so great, and I'm so glad that you had very similar experiences even now, making all these great friends. And I mean, I'm sure there's competition here and there, and there's going to be some people that are assholes, but for the most part, it seems like everybody supported everybody else and was happy for their success.
Yeah, for sure. Like if it was cutthroat and filled with haters, I don't think I could have lasted. I don't think I would have lasted out of my teens if it wasn't for people being cool, you know. And playing music, people are cool. Like, you know, they are. For the most part, whatever. Don't get me wrong. We have run into our share of haters who are trying to climb the ladder to get to the top of the punk rock food chain, whatever that is. But
you see who they are.
Yeah, you know, and whatever. Inevitably, they're going to be out of punk rock when they get turned on to their next thing. So, you know, it's like, but yeah, I mean, we've made more lifelong friends than enemies, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's similar. Like, even with me, I've had people go, oh, I could do a podcast. Well, then do one. And stop trying to put me down. Why don't you go do your own? Oh, it's easy to do that. Well, then do it. Don't tell me how easy it is. I want to see you do it. So even with like things like this, I get people trying to put me down and say, well, I could do it. Well, don't talk about it. Then do it. I'm not stopping you.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it.
You're always going to have these armchair quarterbacks that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
don't give up the fight.
Yeah.
Don't give up the fight. Never. I'm with you on that one. And I don't care and don't be ashamed either. Don't be embarrassed to skateboard.
Exactly.
I love it. So we mentioned you have 10 albums out. Number 11's coming out soon. When can we expect to see that?
We were just talking about it. We were talking about maybe a May release. It would just be an arbitrary date. We have nothing. Like, we have nothing. Ideally, you'd plan a tour around a new release, and that's kind of why we were holding it back, because it's been done for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
But just trying to plan a tour, it takes a lot of, you know, energy mentally and physically to plan a tour, and I just haven't gotten on it. So I mean, it'll probably be soon now, and we just won't tour right off the bat on it. And hopefully by the fall, I'll have something worked out where we can do a little something for it. But I don't know, you know, we're the least professional band there is, and that, you know, and that's why I would never motherfuck a band that has a manager, because I'm terrible. Even though we're DIY, I'm terrible at doing things for myself. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Things always pop up.
Yeah, you know, hopefully something pops up and maybe we can have something easy that we can tour on. But as far as the release of the album, you know, I don't know. Let's say a couple of months. It'll be out in a couple of months.
And it'll be out in Bandcamp, not Spotify.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know what? It will be out on Spotify. I'll put it out on Spotify, and just that one, and then probably pull it down in 6 months because
don't sell out.
Yeah. Yes.
That's funny. No, every band I talked to said the same thing. Don't go to these because Bandcamp, you get every penny, which I love. And I saw
Bandcamp's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of your CDs are only $5. That's great. So you're not even charging a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
So I'm all for Bandcamp.
Yeah, I do like Bandcamp. It's cool. You know, it's cool. It's more what I'm into. So it's like, I'd rather put everything up on there instead of Spotify and whatever. I'm not judging anybody who puts their shit up on Spotify either. I got my stuff up on Spotify. I'm not at all being judgy. It just, as sometimes falling asleep at night, I just start thinking about Spotify. And I'm like, "Good, you're pulling everything down tomorrow." Yeah. That was a true story. That
happened.
That recently happened. Yeah.
So I guess that question, what keeps you up at night? It's Spotify.
Yeah, that was it. Spotify.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. And that was a true story. I got up the next morning and I pulled everything down. I'm like, I'm done.
You know what? I don't want you to be any post-traumatic stress syndrome anymore. No more PTSD. Don't put it on Spotify. Just go right to Bandcamp. Kids, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hear them, go to Bandcamp.
Go to Bandcamp.
I love it. Oh man, if I had that straight jacket, still I'd let you have it.
I'll take the Gumby outfit.
Yeah. That was awesome.
So you must know over the years doing this, you must still, I mean, even though things have changed, you probably know a lot of the old club owners. So is it not easy, but do you have like an idea of like how you're going to plan the tour, where you're going to go, which clubs you're going to play at?
East Coast is the easiest. It's easiest for us, and it's the most cost effective.
Right. Yeah.
Ideally it would just be East Coast, and then maybe Europe. Like I don't know. We would need a lot of help for a decent Europe run to put one together. But I feel like I can do a good East Coast where we, don't take too much of a beating. I feel like I could put that together with some degree of ease. And just the logistics of that run, it's nice. Whereas you start getting out to the Midwest and beyond, you start having 12-hour drives every day. Whereas the East Coast, the long drive is like 5-6 hours would be about our max drive to get to the next show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm again, we don't even have anything in the planning stages or the wishing stages, but I would say 95% it'll be East Coast.
Yeah.
What do they have in New York right now? Like what clubs?
There's still like all over.
Yeah.
And Manhattan is still kick ass and
good.
Awesome. Like the shows are still great in Manhattan. And all the old clubs are still kind of there, like it's might be under different names, but I mean A7 is back being A7. Like
oh wow.
Yeah, so
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's cool walking around that Tompkins Square Park area and seeing all these legendary clubs, and a lot of them are still clubs. Like it's cool. Yeah, New York's cool. Like it's tough. It's tough to get it in there for a show, but love playing there. Yeah, absolutely love it.
A couple of years ago, John Joseph did a walking tour of all the New York area, and I loved it. We went to a Max's Kansas City, which I'm so angry because there's a documentary came out. I interviewed the guy who did the documentary. I wish I was old enough to have actually been there and seen all these different people that played there. And
yeah.
Andy Warhol crew hung out there. All these different Debbie Harry used to work there as a bartender, a waitress, and Alice Cooper used to hang out there. George Harrison, and just I wish I was part of that scene back then.
So cool, yeah. So many bands came through Max's Kansas City. Yeah.
Were you? Wait, I'm trying to remember now. So I interviewed him several years ago, so my memory is a little blank on that. What year did it close? Was it old enough? Were you old enough to have been a part of that? Like,
never.
No.
Okay,
never.
I think so,
but I was old. I mean, I think I was old enough. I think people my age have certainly been there, but for me, from Connecticut no, I wasn't old enough. It was too much to get
too far.
Yeah, too much. Yeah.
Well, you and I are the same age, and it was the same thing. I didn't get down that way until when I was maybe like 19, 20, and then I started going on my own.
Bingo. Yeah, same for us. We were late teens, early 20s before starting venturing into New York City.
Yeah, but you and I weren't like Harley Flanagan at 4 years old hanging out with Joe Strummer in the class.
Exactly. Oh my God, no, exactly. You lived a charmed life for sure.
I know. I'm trying to get him on the show, and I was talking to him for a while, but I don't know. He just won't get his look at his Instagram. He goes, "This message
Oh,
on Instagram," and then I could see that the message was sent, but it wasn't looked at yet. I'm like, "Come on!"
Yeah.
Like he just came out with a documentary too, so I watched
Yeah.
it twice.
Yeah.
Watched it twice. Wrote extensive notes. I'm ready to go if he ever answers.
Oh, I hope so.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Harley's a trip.
Yeah.
I had John on the show. He wasn't as much of a trip as Harley would have been. Like,
Oh yeah, Harley's definitely a character,
oh, yeah, I
man.
know.
He's cool.
He
He's
is a
cool. You know, he's cool. He would be a great interview.
It was funny. I have a picture when they played. What was that club in New Britain? Not the Palace. Oh my God, my mind went blank on it. There was a club in New Britain, and I'll remember in a minute. But I saw the Cro-Mags with Harley play there, and he goes, "Oh my God, this is during my meth days," and you could tell
Holy shit!
his long hair.
God, a club in New Britain.
Yeah, I saw Mucky Pup there. I saw Cro-Mags. I saw.
I am drawing a blank on that.
But I'll remember.
Palace was Waterbury, right?
Yeah.
What was that?
The Palace was Waterbury.
Well, the Palace, yeah, the Palace is Waterbury. So, but there's another. I thought that's definitely the different kind of palace. I thought there was like the Sports Palace in New Britain or something like that.
Oh,
Oh,
geez, yeah.
yeah.
Oh God,
I
I
know.
think you're right. Sports Palace.
That might have been the place I saw
Yeah.
that. So
Sports Palace. I think. Yeah, right.
they had a lot. That was probably like 93, 94, 95, somewhere around there.
That's when we were
That's
living there.
when
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
there, yeah.
yeah. We were living there. Yeah, late '80s
Late
to
80s
mid
to
'90s.
mid-90s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that place. Yeah, man. Oh, jeez.
I know.
Totally forgot about that.
That's why it's like having this conversation is great. Like I said, for me, it's like a trip down memory lane because
Yeah, right.
I haven't talked about and thought about in years.
30 years for us. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to your 11th album. Definitely looking forward to seeing you again, tour. Hopefully, maybe I'll be in a future video sometime if you're.
I hope so. Yeah.
Do you have I know you recorded that last video. Do you have any other videos on YouTube? I was looking for some. Maybe I.
Shit tons.
We have a
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our 10th album was like a goofy concept thing that I was like, the songs were written around the video concepts.
Yeah.
And we did 10 songs, 10
10
videos.
All right.
And true story, the songs were written around the video
Yeah.
ideas. It was just a goofy thing. We didn't have much going on at the time. It was 2019, right before we
Right
joined
before
Murphy's.
Ray, yeah.
And that was the plan. It's like, okay, gonna do 10 songs, 10 videos.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they're goofy and well, totally DIY. We're not
Yeah,
filmmakers.
100%.
Like, we didn't pay anybody.
No.
We shot them all ourselves. And yeah, so everything's up on YouTube.
You have your own YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever YouTube/Sadplant
Sadplant.
is
Okay.
our handle. Yeah.
Well, once we're off the air, you're going to see one more subscriber. I will subscribe
Awesome.
Thank you.
to and I will make sure that we have all this information on the screen. So anybody watching this video right now can definitely be a subscriber. I'm telling you, you got to check these guys out. They are as I mentioned before, they're my new favorite band. They're great,
Awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
extremely talented, hilarious, inspiring. Don't give up the fight. So before we go, though, I've had so much fun talking. I want to have you back on the show again because we talk forever about just like music in general. Is there anything that I didn't go over right now that you want to talk about?
Geez, you're asking the wrong guy, man. I'm like,
I'm guessing
no,
that's
like,
what about you, Amy?
No, I don't think so.
There's nothing. Well, you know what though? Definitely, when the 11th album comes out and you go on tour, I want to have you back on here and we can just talk music, old times,
love
and
it,
whatever else
man.
comes to mind. Yeah.
That sounds
would love it.
fantastic.
Thanks for
Would
the
love
time,
it.
man. Like, had a great
Yeah,
time.
thank
Me
you.
too.
very
Yeah.
much.
Amy, Ben, thanks a lot. We'll definitely be talking to you soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That wraps up the latest episode of the Claws Corner. A huge thanks goes out to Amy and Ben of the band that best epitomizes DIY, Sadplant, for taking time out of their extremely busy schedule to be a guest on my show. Thank you both very much. A huge thanks also goes out to editor extraordinaire John Bristol of the award-winning Elmwood Productions for always doing a superb job editing this show each and every week and making it available to all on YouTube and Patreon. I am also extremely grateful to Rob Bull and Dale Coles for all they do to make my show available on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, as well as the local cable station in Connecticut. And lastly, but definitely not least, I need to thank you, the viewer for always tuning in. Enjoy your day, everyone.
From the frenetic mind of author Rich Sear. 5 terrifying short stories, now available in one collection. Confessions of a Frenetic Mind. 5 tales of blood-curdling terror, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.